Britain is entering a crisis it can no longer outrun.
Disaster.
Crisis.
Complete cluster shambles.
Housing has reached 97% capacity, welfare costs have surged 22%, and recent unrest inflicted more than £6.2 million in damage. Communities are stretched, tempers are rising, and the country's long-standing stability is beginning to fracture. And this is only the beginning. Britain had never seen a night like this. What began as scattered protests quickly turned into simultaneous riots in multiple cities, leaving the nation shocked by the scale of the destruction. Within 48 hours, streets that had been peaceful for generations were in flames. The toll is now seared into the national memory. £6.2 million in property damage, 41 vehicles burned, 27 shops looted, 112 local residents injured, and 3 council buildings burned beyond repair. Families barricaded themselves in their homes as firefighters battled to contain the blaze that consumed their homes. Elderly people were evacuated in the middle of the night. Children woke to shattered windows, charred streets, and neighbourhoods destroyed beyond recognition. As the smoke cleared, a painful emotion rippled through the country. Betrayal? For years, British communities have generously donated clothes, offered shelter, volunteered time and money to help refugee families find safety. But after seeing their towns burn to the ground, many now feel their kindness has been met with violence. And now it has turned to anger. Ordinary people are asking questions. How did a country known for its peace become the stage for this chaos? For the first time in a generation, Britain feels its stability is being torn apart. So what happens next? Is this a riot or a fight for justice? Let us know in the comments below. Your voice is the only thing that can bring peace to this country. As Britain counts the cost of the riots, a harsher truth emerges from the smoke. The unrest is not the product of a vacuum. It is the result of a system stretched beyond its limits. In the past year, migration has soared by 18%, pushing the country's housing capacity to 97%. And forcing councils to spend £412 million on emergency accommodation. School admissions are soaring by 11%. NHS waiting lists are nearly 3 weeks long, and welfare spending has risen by 22% in just 14 months. These are not abstract figures, they are daily pressures that are crushing local services and fueling anger on the streets. Downing Street now admits what it has refused to say for years. The current asylum system is no longer sustainable, and as the country reels from violence, this admission seems more a warning than a declaration. Britain is running out of space, out of patience, and out of sweat. As the government confronts the collapse of its own system, one reform stands out for its sheer severity. Asylum in Britain will no longer mean stability. Under the new rules, protection is granted for 2.5 years only, subject to reassessment at any moment. A single shift in global politics, a new report on a conflict zone, or a diplomatic reclassification could overturn an entire family's life overnight. If a home country is judged safe, refugees may be ordered to return immediately, regardless of the friendships they've built, the jobs they've earned, or the children who now speak English better than their native tongue. For the government, this is a necessary break on a system spiralling out of control. For communities, it is a promise of tighter control after years of strain. But for thousands of families living in Britain today, it is something else entirely, a future that can be revoked with the stroke of a pen for those who still believe that truth matters. Subscribe and ring the bell, because silence only wins when you stop listening. If temporary asylum strips families of stability, the next reform strikes even deeper. The path to permanent settlement will no longer take 5 years. It will take 22 full decades of uncertainty, 2 decades of paperwork, reviews, and suspended belonging. For the Home Office, it is a way to tighten oversight and prevent long-term abuse. But for the people living under it, 20 years is not bureaucracy. It's it is a lifetime. A childhood spent unsure of tomorrow, A career frozen in hesitation, a family unable to plan beyond the next review. Communities fear this will create a permanent underclass living in Britain but never fully part of it. A population trapped between acceptance and exile, generation after generation. As Britain hardens its asylum structure, another shift hits with brutal force. Financial support will no longer be automatic. Anyone judged capable of working or possessing even modest assets may lose housing aid and basic assistance entirely. For newly arrived families with no English, no contacts and no understanding of the welfare system, this is not policy. It is a cliff edge. A mother and father stepping off the plane in Manchester could find themselves denied accommodation within days. Pushed toward homelessness before their case is even understood. Councils warn of rising pressure on emergency shelters. Police fear public disorder. And residents know who will ultimately carry the cost. Britain's safety net is still there. But it no longer catches everyone. As support systems tighten, a new rift is opening across Britain. Public anger. Communities that once welcomed refugees with open arms now feel pushed to the brink. Rioting, vandalism and rising crime in overburdened areas have turned compassion into anger. People say they offered to help, donations of food, clothes, volunteer hours, only to see their neighbourhoods collapse under the pressure. And now they're asking an increasingly loud question: why should we shoulder responsibilities that refugees themselves refuse to acknowledge? With housing overcrowded, NHS waiting times at record highs and local crime up 12% in high-stress areas, many feel their goodwill has run dry. Britain's patience, once deep, was now wearing thin. As public opinion grew angry, Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood offered a different story. She called the sweeping reforms a moral mission, an attempt to restore order, fairness and balance to a system she said had been overstretched. Her message was cautious. The moral imperative, she stressed, was not just to protect struggling refugees, but also British families facing housing shortages, crowded classrooms and NHS delays. A broken system would help no one. But more than 100 charities have come out strongly against the measures, warning that they could increase mistrust, heighten social tensions and redefine vulnerability in ways that leave thousands unprotected. Britain is currently caught between two opposing moral visions, one based on protection, the other on restraint. And the country must decide which definition it supports. Leave a comment below to let everyone know where you stand on this story. These reforms are more than just policy changes. They mark a turning point in Britain's identity. The new asylum framework will reshape immigration, redefine welfare and determine how communities coexist for the next decade. What happens now will affect council budgets, public service capacity and the cohesion of already overburdened neighbourhoods. Above all, this is a moral crossroads. Can the UK enforce strong borders without losing the humanity it claims to protect? This story is far from over. If you want to follow every next step, stay with us. Your support will help us bring clarity to a rapidly changing country. Britain now faces a challenge bigger than any single policy, a test of what kind of nation it chooses to be. Asylum reform will shape everything: border controls, social stability, public services and the moral boundaries of the country itself. In council houses, courtrooms and classrooms, the consequences will be felt for years. A question no government can avoid: can Britain protect its borders and defend its values? The choices it makes today will resonate for decades to come, determining whether the nation emerges stronger or more divided than ever before. This is no longer just a policy debate. It is one of the defining stories of modern Britain. The decisions made in the coming months will determine the lives of communities, the survival of public services and how the country balances compassion and control. Every announcement, every public response and every political shift will shape the nation's path forward. We will continue to follow every development with clarity and insight. If you want to stay up to date as this story unfolds, stay with us and consider subscribing. Your support will help us deliver authentic, human-centred journalism at the moments that really matter.